Circle around, buy another ticket. There's a line. Guy behind me they take us out the exit instead of going out the front because there's so many people. When we're coming out, the guy behind me, there's a line's going right by the exit. He's walking by people the whole time going, Bruce Wilson's dead the whole movie. Bruce Wilson's dead the whole movie. Dude, if you told me that, I'd have beat the shit. You'd catch a right hand for that so fast.
You know, and we're recording. This is a pre-roll, so we'll start.
Yeah.
This is what we always do.
And we talk for a few minutes before we acknowledge the mic.
Right.
You know, since Scott and I started the show, we've talked about how, like, you know, scary is subjective. So whether you're scared or not, but so, you know, certain movies, certain things might scare you that don't scare others, and that's fine. It's a horror movie, but it's kind of like when people would drink like a whole bunch of alcohol and be like, I'm not drunk. You're like, yeah, you are. That's the reason you started drinking today. Right. You go to scary movies to get scared. Hopefully, like if they're effective, you hopefully come out with a little bit of heightened blood pressure and a little bit of, you know, and so people talk about the Blair Witch, which is hard to watch several times because it's the shaky cam, and like we saw at the little independent theater and people puked everywhere. Like they came out before the show and they were like, look, if you start to feel ill, please go outside. Like please hit the bathroom because it will get you. But I remember the mood coming out of that movie because it was still in the early days of the internet. You know, it's like
viral marketing on that was huge.
It was perfect.
It was huge.
It was perfect. And we went and watched that movie, and I had already been kind of a bit of a, you know, like we just finished this big marathon of all the 80s, you know, between Hellraiser and the Fridays and all the different stuff. Right. So I was kind of, I would have said like I was a bit, you know, jaded. Not jaded, but just I was desensitized.
Yeah, you've been inundated
with Blair Witch scared me. Mm-hmm. Like coming out of that theater, like the evening had kind of an evil feel to it. Like just the night felt spooky, and I was like, that was awesome. Never could do it again. Watched it the second time, didn't have the same feel. But coming out, people were like, "Oh man, it's so fake." It's like, no way, man. That was
effective.
That was an effective film,
right?
So, like you said, with Sixth Sense, like if they were spoiling it for me, I would have been pissed.
Man. And another one about spoiling. I was on the phone with my ex-wife a few years later. I was talking to her in New Mexico, and we were just kind of going over some things for the kids for the summer, and she said, "Hey, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna go see a movie with the guy I'm seeing." Like, cool, have fun. What are you gonna see? She says, "We're gonna go see The Mist." And I had just seen it. I mean, I'm a stupidly huge Stephen guy. I have read everything that man has published. His Newsweek stuff, his stuff he published in Bad Porn, all of it. I'm a big fan. Like, dude, I enjoy it very much. Ending's nothing like the story.
Right,
I don't
it's
care.
totally
It's so, it works so well. It's so good. As she's walking out on the phone, her sister is coming in, and she's, "Where are you going?" So, "We're going to go see The Mist." I hear her sister, "Oh, it's fucked up. He shoots his kid at the end of the movie."
Oh my god!
Oh Jesus!
And that was definitely a never saw it coming ending because it was nothing like the book. Because I read the book a million times when I was a kid,
easily.
And when the movie happened, that was a hard watch. That was a really, really hard watch.
I've only because I love. I want to say Nicotero because of Walking Dead, but the director.
Oh, Darabont.
Darabont's work, I love it, but The Mist is a one-shotter for me, kind of like Pet Sematary. Like, you left The Mist feeling so shitty that it just like, I don't want... like, I want
the original Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Okay.
The book and the movie Pet Sematary were just like, you walk out of there and you're just like, man, there's no good that came out of any of that. That whole thing sucks.
The book of... Yeah, dude. Oh, it's like The Road. You watch The Road, I can't even drink water while watching that movie, watching Viggo Mortensen just dying slowly with his child. Like, I can't even eat anything. You just feel bad. Like, I shouldn't be enjoying this. I should. Oh my god, he's gonna shoot this kid. Oh fuck, they're gonna eat this kid.
Well, and with that, let's talk about horror movies. Welcome to the Scarydad podcast. This is episode 163, where we're not actually going to talk about the worst of the worst, or the worst of the best, I guess. The ones we talked about are some great movies, but they're really hard to take.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about some trauma
Troma Entertainment.
Troma with an O, not with an A. So you know it's good. But yeah, this is episode 163, and if it sounds like three guys in a room drinking a beer, that's because this is what it is. This is we're not NPR, so enjoy it for what it is. We're not specifically structured for anything but enjoying horror movies. Today we've got a guest. We got Mr. Boom with us to talk about talk about everything. We have it kind of rooted in Troma, but it can go really anywhere we need to.
Yeah, you know how we are with our segues, man.
We're going to talk about some folks here. But before we get into all that...
First, the old business.
All right. So, the old business... This is December. This is like the year that won't die. We're gonna talk more in depth about that next week. But it is the 23rd, so it's 2 days before Christmas. So happy Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas.
And I thought it would be fun to see what was on the charts 40 years ago. So 1980.
Oof.
We're starting a new decade, right? It's like 20, 21, 22, all the way in through. So 80s was pretty much the golden age of horror. So 1980 started it. So in December of 1980, what was your top 10 movies? Some of these I've never even heard of. Some of them, some of them, pretty good. So number 10, The Competition.
Not familiar with it.
Never heard of it.
Never seen it.
Number 9, Altered States.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's number 8, Raging Bull.
Ugh. De Niro just beating it into you.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful movie.
Number 7, this is one I want to go back and revisit, but Flash Gordon.
Dude,
Yes.
I love that movie.
Flash Gordon is so
Yes.
awesome. I just haven't seen it in a while,
Yes.
but it's one of those that, it was good when it came out, then it kind of camped out with the 80s, kind of schlocky, and then it's come back around to where it's like, all those Queen songs are starting to kick back into gear, and you're like, wow.
But the movie itself is just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Arrow just did like a monster 4K upgrade release of Flash Gordon. It's so sexy. Those colors are just vibrant.
Need to hit it. Probably a Christmas watch for me. So I'll get that. All right, The Jazz Singer. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Number 5, I saw this in the theater. My parents took me to see Popeye with Robin Williams.
I love that
That
classic
movie was a
movie.
bomb, but
It's fun,
good.
dude. And it's probably the nostalgia.
I
It's the nostalgia with me. I still watch it to this. My kids think it's boring as hell.
Dude,
but
I still remember that octopus
Yeah.
in the village. Like when he got
Right.
that octopus scared the hell out of me. So
It's such a random movie.
It is.
It is incredibly random. Just
it
the
is.
whole
It is.
thing.
Like
It's a
when he's
fever dream,
But
dude.
it's all those cartoons that when he's got a picture of his dad and it says the words "my dad."
Right. It wasn't like one of those things where they take it into like a modernistic retelling of a story. They're like, no, screw that, dude. We're going to take the cartoon but just make it people.
Yep.
You know I'm a huge Popeye fan already, dude. So as a kid, we all had the nursery rhymes growing up with Popeye. We all watched the cartoons and everything. So it hit it the right time.
Oh yeah, Popeye's awesome. Number 4, Coal Miner's Daughter.
I remember the
such
song
a
more than
heartbreaking
anything. But yeah.
Such an absolutely just trying movie.
And this is one of those things that comes up occasionally. We talked about it on What's Awesome on a show we just recorded, so it hasn't been released yet. But it's one of those things. It's like, what grinds my gears is fake accents, especially in modern country music, right?
Right.
So you have people like the Beatles. They're from Liverpool. It is a very heavy, hard drinking, working class city where people talk with such thick accents. It's so far removed from the Crown, it's not even funny. But the Beatles don't sing with a British accent.
Right.
The Stones don't sing with this. The Scorpions don't. They're German.
Ozzy.
They don't have an accent. Ozzy doesn't have an
Ozzy's
accent.
insane because when you hear his interviews, he got much mouth, but he sings it's clear
perfect,
right.
all day.
And then you have people like Loretta Lynn who literally grew up without shoes and had a dirt floor. She doesn't have a hick accent when she sings. I mean, she sounds a little country, but she's country.
Right.
But you have these people that are born and raised in Sacramento or something, and they throw on a fake hick accent so they can sound like a hayseed, so they can talk about their truck.
Right.
It drives me out of my mind.
Right, they all try to sound like John Fogerty in Creedence Clearwater Revival. Yeah.
Go go to vocal lessons and enunciation school. Don't sell me this crap. you ain't country. You ain't punk.
Calm down, Green Day. You're not real punk.
And then Sex Pistols, which is what they were trying to sound like. And
They knew how to play their instruments far too well to be Sex Pistols.
Yeah, but he sang with that fake British accent.
Right. Yeah, no. He was throwing it out there. He was trying. A little too hard.
Let's see. Number 3 was Any Which Way You Can.
Love that
I
fucking
don't
movie,
know, man.
dude.
I enjoyed it, but it was just one of those that didn't follow any which way but loose.
I found
It didn't make it right up there. The first one was just hilarious.
Yeah. It was hard to just. But the first one was trying, just like a lot of sequels, to try to bring that same magic back to the sequel. It's never easy,
and
but
it's still just a random ass movie. You think about it, like today, he's just trucking around with this orangutan.
It's a Smokey and the Bandit knockoff, really.
Right.
If you think about it, both the whole series.
Right.
To me, Smokey and the Bandit Part 2 just kind of intensified the Part 1.
Right.
With the Any Which Way, I always was like, wait, which car chase movie is this? Like, oh, this is the one with the guy with the blonde hair instead of the black hair.
Like,
as a kid, like, oh, this is the one with the monkey.
Right. Yeah. You know what I thought was funny is I got older and like my wife works with animals and they have to do their exotic animals training and you're younger, you're like, oh, it's him and he's got this orangutan and that's fine. And you realize later that at any point that thing could have ripped his arm off and beat him to death with it. Mm-hmm. It was like a step away from being Creep Show where that thing was on the box and just starts eating.
Orangutans were hot back then too. But what was the movie with Tony Danza and Danny DeVito from the 80s where he inherited his uncle's orangutan going bananas.
Yeah.
Going bananas one that he used to play on a loop all the time when we were kids. I've been looking for that VHS loop. Just speaking of orangutans.
All right, number 2, Stir Crazy.
Stir Crazy.
Is one of the greatest comedies
movie
ever.
that would never be made today.
A lot of things Gene Wilder did could not have
Richard
been
Pryor
made.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, Richard Pryor. Well, they were... Dude, we
They
talk
were a
about
great team. They were a great
comedic
team.
duos.
Oh, they were perfect.
Absolutely amazing.
They worked off of each other so well. I can imagine, just seeing them be in a film, how much of that is ad lib and them just working off of each other, no script, just you guys go out there and be funny. Mm-hmm. And they were just, it was Richard Pryor's a goat, man. I don't care what anybody says. Dude. As far as stand up comedy goes, and he's amazing.
The funny thing is, and the thing with a movie like Stir Crazy, because it came out in 1980, so I'd have been 4. Right. It was on heavy rotation on HBO and stuff when I was a kid. I didn't get those jokes, but they were still funny.
Yes.
The way they were moving around, the way they're playing off of each other. Like the comedy's way up here because I'm this short, but it's still funny. Mm-hmm. Like I can laugh at the silly situations.
A lot of that stuff I found like from the 80s, stuff I enjoyed very much. I laughed, so funny. You watch it when you get older and these jokes are different now. They're still funny because now I understand what fellatio is and I know what this rim job reference is. When I was a kid, I saw the hand motions and slapstick.
You knew
this is great. Yeah, so it's kind of it's that sandwich you get to have twice.
That's perfectly described. That's awesome. And number 1, 9 to 5.
Love the classic one, dude. I used to play all the time. And, that's a good one.
What was it? Dabney Coleman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was at a time where he was a thing, dude. Dabney Coleman was in every other movie. And he's so good at what he does.
Well, and the funny thing is, like Dolly Parton, I mean, they could probably write a zombie movie about her because she was hot in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm talking like popularity hot.
Oh yeah.
And then now she's back.
Yeah.
And it's like she's really just kind of running back up the ranks.
And she never changed.
And she doesn't look any different than she ever did.
Right. Her attitude's
she's got a couple little wrinkles.
Yeah.
But she's
still Dolly Parton.
She's awesome.
And what's amazing is, she's just been in the background doing all this shit for decades that we never knew about. And now with the internet and social media, all of a sudden all this shit's coming to light. All these the woman is incredible.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Dollywood? I've actually been to Dollywood long time ago.
When I was a kid, we went on vacation, and I think we went by there, but it was like we couldn't. My dad was like, "We can either do this or we can do that," and like family chose that.
Right.
But I want to go back up there because
So what is Dollywood?
it's like an
that for years and
Astroworld.
stuff.
It's
I
a
never
theme park.
actually
it's an Astroworld.
seen
She
pictures.
built a theme park like in the mountains of Tennessee or whatever.
It's a pretty cool place.
Because there wasn't one to go to. There's like the nearest one was far away, so she's just like.
They have to drive to Florida or Chicago or something to ride a roller coaster. So would they like name it all after kind of hillbilly stuff like the train car ride and stuff like that?
Yeah, some of the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
That's a kind of
they
theme
have a
to it.
huge like Grand Ole Opry style auditorium performing center where they do shows every night and stuff. It's a pretty cool place, man.
Well, that was the top 10. This one wasn't anywhere near top 10, but this one was actually in theaters. Was Maniac, that original?
Yeah. No, good movie. Good movie.
That's rough, but yeah, it wasn't going to make the top 10 the week of Christmas.
No. I'll tell you what, the remake wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all.
With Elijah Wood.
Yeah, dude, he's one of those ones that you randomly see him and stuff, and he's decided he's not taking himself seriously, and he's just enjoying roles, and he really brings it in on that and just gives it his go. It's a good job.
That's awesome.
He's a really good
I would like to be that, like whether in life as a, just like you said with Dolly, or where you're just free to do your own thing, where you're like,
Right.
I've got money, so I'm going to build a theme park. People are like, the accountant's like, she's like,
I'll put out another hit record.
I'm also going to give away a bunch of books, so get on that.
Like Macaulay Culkin's living life right now.
Yeah. Dude, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, we've talked about him. He's just
Really?
Yeah, he chose himself not to do movies anymore. He's just enjoying life now, dude.
To be fair, he tried a little bit outside of Home Alone, and it's hard once you're typecast. I mean, you look at some actors that have tried to come out into different ways. You know, Robert Englund was trying at one point to kind of branch out, and you're just, look, you're Freddy Krueger.
Well, and he was on Joe Rogan, and he said that basically, like, he started trying to do it, and there was the grind, and then he realized that he had enough money that he didn't need to do anything, so he could just kind of do what he wanted. So then he just started traveling,
Right.
and he just started going back and forth to places and hanging out, and then he caught this disease that you get from cats. It's some kind of weird autoimmune disease, and so he was sick for a while, and then he got healthy again, and so Joe's like, well, what do you do now? He's like, well, I wake up in New York and I decide I want to go to my house in France and hop on a plane and go hang out with my friends over there, and then somebody tells me there's something cool going on back in New York, and I hop on a plane and go back there. He says, I was coming home, there was a retail store going out of business on the bottom floor of my flat, and they had all these mannequins, and I was like, how much do you want for the mannequins? And they were like, $600. He's like, I'll give you $5. And they're like, okay. So now I got all these mannequins laying around my apartment, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but they're cool.
Dude, he just sounds like an awesome dude, bro.
So that is old business. We're going to take a break, and we will come back with the new.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
Hang on.
With more accurate control, more detailed graphics, more levels of play.
Awesome.
The Sega Master System comes with power-based 2 control pads, light phaser, and 2 great video games, Hang On and Safari Hunt.
Gotcha.
And with other games like Ramble, Outrun, and Choplifter, the excitement never stops. The Sega Master System. The challenge will always be there.
Are you hungry? Hungry as a gremlin? Here's gremlin cereal.
Gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlins is a deliciously sweet, crunchy cereal that satisfies the hungry little gremlin that's in all of us.
Gremlins, bite after bite. What a tasty way to satisfy a gremlin appetite.
Gremlin cereal is part of this complete breakfast.
Gremlin. Yum, yum.
Okay, so we're back.
New business is new business, and this is new business.
Got a little bit of new business to talk about. We got a couple of sad stories to talk about today. One, we recently did a show about Full Moon Features. We talked about Charles Band and his series of movies. Me and Boom were talking. Full Moon Features is great. They have a humongous catalog, but it's one of the most hit or miss catalogs you will ever see. Some of the stuff is just shit. Man. We talk about all the time, you can have a bad horror movie, but it can still be a lot of fun to watch, to where you enjoy yourself, you don't fall asleep, you don't want to change the channel. But unfortunately, Full Moon features a lot of crap also. They've also got some classics that have, some of their series have just endeared themselves in the horror fans' mind and in the world. But unfortunately, Charles Band recently came out and let the world know that his 29-year-old son Harlan Band has passed away after a long fight with addiction. He came out with a statement: "Sweet fans of Full Moon, my son Harlan, who many of you have met at conventions or on a road show years ago, passed away on Friday. He lost a 12-year struggle with addiction, and we lost a beautiful member of our family with the biggest heart. No words can describe our sadness." I always say one of the worst things I can imagine is you losing a child. Right. You're not supposed to die before your kids, so I can only imagine what Charles Band's going through right now. His son Harlan did some work, production work and stuff like that with the movies. He wasn't heavily involved with the films. He had a bit part in Ginger Dead Man, if I'm not mistaken, but he has passed away, so our condolences to Charles Band and the Full Moon family. Another one, we had a death recently of Mr. Richard Corbin, who we were talking about a little while ago. We know we love our comic books. He was a comic book artist, died at 80 years old, best known for his work in Heavy Metal magazine. One of my favorites is Den. I used to love the comic Den. It was one of the features in the Heavy Metal movie. It was the one voiced by John Candy. It was a lot of fun. But he did Den, he did Ripped in Time, comic book called Fever Dreams, which I always found had incredible artwork from back in the day. He also did the album cover for Bad Out of Hell. He's a 2012 Will Eisner Hall of Fame inductee. So we will miss Mr. Richard Corbin. He was still active, too. He still had a website. He was still doing art. He was still doing commissions, selling prints, all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. I saw the announcement and some of his work. Just the color work on it, beautiful. Vibrant work.
Okay, you may have seen that there is a new Netflix series going to be coming out starring Nicolas Cage, where he's going to be, it's put out by Funny or Die, but he's going to be doing a docu-series of the origins of swear words.
God bless his heart. God bless his heart.
I'm not sure if you saw the trailer they released.
Have you seen that Venn diagram?
Yes.
Where it's like good actor, bad movies, bad actor, good movies, and like all the way, and like all of them converge, and it's Nicolas Cage.
It's Nicolas Cage, man. That's Nick all day.
But it's going to be 6 episodes covering fuck, shit, bitch, dick, pussy, and damn. The 56-year-old Oscar winner will tell us how the words came into existence, go through the etymology and everything. It's going to be interesting.
He's going to rock that to his grave. Oh, like of all the things Nick Cage has done, like they're going to ride Leaving Las Vegas. He lived in 95 and he'd be like Oscar Award winner. It's like, dude, that was like 80 years ago. And it was quite literally, dude. It was quite literally, I swear to God, they get Nick Cage and they're like, all right, Nick, be half Nick Cage today. Or be 80% Nick Cage today. It's all him just being Nick Cage. Because that's all Leaving Las Vegas was, but it was so perfect for the story.
Right.
But it's literally just, the only difference between Nick Cage movies is his hair.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it's similar to Tom Cruise, which we talk about all the time. Tom Cruise, all these movies he does, it's Tom Cruise as a bartender, or Tom Cruise as a fighter pilot. He never changes his personality. It's the same.
But Tom Cruise can run. I can't imagine Nick Cage doing it on a 20-yard dash over here.
The thing is, Nick Cage is so intense. You watch a movie like Raising Arizona.
And it's my favorite. Dude, that's amazing.
But you mentioned his hair. And that's the thing. It's because, you've got this whole scene, and the scene is what it is, and then it flips scenes, and he's in jail, and he's looking at the camera, and his hair's just like this, and you're just like, the hair.
There it is. Look at it. That Roadrunner tattoo, just all day long. I'm surprised it's not real. I really wish it was real.
But they'll be having a whole bunch of guest on the series, just talking about for the different words and everything. Jim Jeffries is going to be on it. A few other folks that we'll be seeing drop by. So that's one to look forward to. The history of curse words with Nick Cage.
I'm probably going to watch it. There's that movie they just did for Jiu-Jitsu. It's called Jiu-Jitsu, and I want to see it. I watched it, and it was Nick Cage fighting an alien. I was like, done. What is that? I don't care. Done. I'm gonna watch this.
Have you seen Mom and Dad on Hulu with Nick Cage? Yeah. That's a pretty crazy one too. It's a great storyline, dude. It's a more graphic version of what's the damn Night Shyamalan movie with Marky Mark.
Oh yeah, The Happening.
The Happening. It's kind of
it's only parents.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like The Happening, where just this phenomenon takes over a whole bunch of people. I'm not going to give too much of it away, but if you get a chance, check out Mom and Dad on Hulu. It has some really shitty parts, but for the most part, it's a decent watch. It's not a bad movie. Okay. You remember, you guys watched Chappelle's Show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he was when he was playing
The black guy?
Morgan Freeman. He was playing Morgan Freeman from Armageddon.
Wasn't that everyone?
Okay, I don't know if you remember.
Oh no, it's where he was president.
Yeah, he was playing Morgan Freeman,
Yes.
and he was like, asteroid was coming, and he was leaving, and he was like, I'm just going to leave it all out there. And he starts talking about all these government secrets they don't know about. And one of them is this alien pops up. He goes, this is so-and-so. We've known about his existence for 60 years now. And we've had a fact. Well, recently, a former Israeli space security chief has really gone viral. And he's a fairly established person. He's a professor. He's a former Israeli security chief. He worked with their space program. But he has come to say that we've been knowing all along that there's alien life, and we actually have a contract with them to where we're not supposed to let people know that they actually exist because they don't want to cause a panic. And he's claiming that Donald Trump knows about this and everything else.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Of course he does. He hides a secret in his wig.
But his name is Haim Mashed. He's the former head of Israel's Defense Ministry's Space Directorate. He told an Israeli newspaper, and they ran with this article. It was translated into English, and it has gained a shitload of traction.
They have a space program in Israel?
Yeah, believe it or not. A respected
Dude, I've never
professor.
heard of ships coming out. What do? They go to Cape Canaveral?
A respected professor and retired general, Shed said Shed said they were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand the fabric of the universe. And he's claiming there's actually a federation out there. There's underground base in the depths of Mars where they kind of all hang out.
That's where the solar babies live.
So, dude, like, we had an early episode about aliens, and it's like, I don't buy it, right? It's like I don't disbelieve that there's probably more stuff on the moon and maybe even Mars. That, you know, it's like what's his name in Independence Day, and like we don't really think a toilet seat costs $25,000, right? Like there's been money siphoned off and they've made crap. But do you know how collusive, like if aliens came down and all the world governments that like have guns to each other's face all the time, they're like, aliens are like, hey, don't talk about us, and they're all like, okay. Like somebody's gonna break. Dude, you can't have a conspiracy with more than one person in it.
Right. Yeah, my big thing is if you've got some being capable of interstellar travel. Obviously, they've got the intelligence to create all these quantum mechanics and all these other things. The one thing that they really just want to study are humans. I mean, it'd be like just spending just billions of dollars studying ants. They're so simple and stupid. Like, look at him go! Look at him do stuff! Why would it pick up a redneck and put shit in his ass? No, they don't care.
He's going all in. He claims there's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here.
Because they have contract law.
Yeah, because they're going to respect our contract.
They have lawyers. That's universal. They're proving that lawyers are the universal language.
He added that Donald Trump was aware of the extraterrestrials' existence and had been on the verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria.
They already revealed that aliens are real. Like, they said it in the middle of the pandemic, and the world did a collective,
okay.
Because I already pretty much believe that they exist anyway, so they're like, oh, really?
I'm going back to watch Nicolas Cage's version of Joe Exotic on Netflix. Which is that
a thing?
What?
I mean, because I'd heard they were doing that. Did that ever come to fruition?
I don't think. It hasn't gone to final production, but yeah, that's really a thing.
Because I'd heard about it. So it was one of those things where, like, it's too good to be true. Christmas is coming in March for some reason. I need this to happen.
We just need to do a Nicolas Cage show.
Duh, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I got to get a big bottle of Pepto before you do that one.
I got some bad news for you. You might not be aware of this, but over the years, we've been very much entertained by this gentleman by the name of Will Greenlee, who has a column in the TC Palm in Port St. Lucie, Florida, called Off the Beat. Off the Beat is no more.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Will Greenlee has decided to be a more serious journalist and just stick with more serious topics. Just so you know, Will Greenlee was a guy that, the thing about Florida, he would
Florida
do
man.
Off the Beat, which is the really off the beat Florida stuff. So you can imagine what comes out of Florida that's mainstream. He would just come up with some weird shit. And what our theory is Will Greenlee was told you have to do 1,000 words per article. and he would only come up with $750. So he would add the most ridiculous shit that had nothing to do with the stories of these articles.
He couldn't double space. He couldn't raise the font size. He's just got to find a filler.
He would go.
He would say like in an article about somebody who robbed a bakery or stole cookies. Then he would give a cookie recipe so you understood what a cookie was.
This is an industrious person.
And then or he described
there was a fight where a guy on a beach in Florida started swinging an anchor. So he went in to define what an anchor was, even giving examples of anchors in pop culture, which he brought up. Popeye had a tattoo of an anchor, and then he went into describing who Popeye was in case you didn't know.
Dude, these are all logical conclusions to make from this article.
But then you know exactly what happened.
You're not confused. He's clarifying.
Exactly.
He's
crystal clear.
Reining it in on you.
I've got the final off the beat article as of right now. Hopefully the TC Poem realizes the mistake they made. They bring him back. But okay, headline: Adult dancer Strawberry fights other dancers in apparent Donnybrook.
Fucking A. I like the use of Donnybrook.
This takes us to St. Lucie County. A dancer at the adult venue Body Talk Sports Bar got locked up after allegations of fighting other dancers and swinging a broom, according to an affidavit. St. Lucie County Sheriff's deputies encountered the dancer, a 29-year-old woman whose dancer name is Strawberry. About 2:30 a.m., Strawberry was being held down by security officers and was quoted as saying, "They're trying to kill me."
She was just trying to clean up the room.
A security officer reported Strawberry lost her purse, and when it was turned in, it only had a few dollars in it. She went into the dressing room and began fighting all the other dancers, accusing them of stealing her money. In addition, evidently, to being an adult dancer stage name, a strawberry is a red sweet fruit, often eaten as a snack, on cereal, or as a dessert. They are featured prominently in the dish strawberry shortcake and are native to temperate areas of the Northern Hemisphere. An annual 11-day Florida Strawberry Festival is held in Plant City. It celebrates the strawberry harvest in eastern Hillsborough County, as opposed to the activities of Strawberry the adult dancer.
Like that. A little tidbit sandwich in the middle of the article. It's nice.
Meanwhile, Strawberry reportedly was ordered to leave and taken outside. She stayed on the property, began fighting other dancers, and that's when the police were called to remove her from the premises.
She wasn't done yet. She also needed more to learn about strawberries, as did they. So
that, unfortunately, may possibly be the last off the beat that we're going to be able to.
I really want to know if she said any one-liners in the midst of all this. You know, like, I'm here to sweep you off your feet or something like that.
Okay, and one of the reasons we're talking trauma today is recently there's been a resurgence of the Toxic Avenger due to a remake they're going to be coming up with. It was recently announced, and there's no information as far as what he's going to be doing with the film, but Peter Dinklage was slated to star in the upcoming remake of The Toxic Avenger. This is one of those remakes I'm not sure how I feel about.
It's not like it was the, Shawshank Redemption to begin with.
Right, yes, yeah, this I know.
It's something that you can always, probably.
I'm trying to imagine who I would want Peter Dinklage to play. And my first instinct is, go Toxie, because I want to see this happen. But no, what I want him to do is the bully.
Well, I was thinking the mayor. Remember the big
Could
fat
be.
mayor?
Could be.
He was an evil guy. They may be going the opposite direction. Instead of a huge big fat mayor that's cartoonish, they're going to end up doing a little person.
I think that's far too logical. I think they need to go that crazy, and they need to make him the bully, so that he's got this really tall Amazonian busty girlfriend at the gym, and he's driving around in a sports car, taking points, running over kids. I want him to be the bully.
Hell yeah.
And before we finish the new business, just a reminder, January 16th, 2021, part 2 of the Houston Horror Film Festival pop-up market is coming up.
Dude. Oh my God.
Wasn't that fun?
Oh my God.
That was the best day.
Dude, we've been talking about it on the podcast since it happened.
Every single day I walk by and I look at my VHS of Waxwork and I'm like, soon, sweetheart. Soon. I'm going to get you signed up. And I'm trying to find a couple new Frankenhooker posters because Patty Mullen's going to be there. And
yes.
It's just like I got this really sexy Friday the 13th Betamax, like super mint primo that I'm going to get signed by Ari. It's just
I got to figure out what I'm going to get signed by Ari for sure.
Yeah, I've been looking at some stuff.
I've got a mask in there that's got everybody except for Richard Brooker and except for Derek Mears. But it's got all the rest of them.
Right.
And
you get Steve Dash on there. Mm-hmm. So good.
Yeah,
did he
saw
slam
him
the machete on the table when you met him?
No, he was very but he did write the
real Jason. Dude, yeah, he did that for one of mine too.
The little just needles at each one of them for the Jasons are so good. It's like the first Jason, the original Jason, the real Jason. And then you got like Kane Hodder, who puts all the numbers of the movies he's in, just kind of like this fuck you. Like, oh, look, I've been in something.
Yeah.
I had tried to get in touch with Derek Mears' agent to see about having him come down also. But it didn't work out. So we ended up going with Ari. Because there was another guy that we were trying to get over. It was just a big...
Ari's cool, man. He's a really nice guy.
Ari's a super nice guy, dude. And of course, just going off of that, since the last time that we talked, Pop-Up Market, Felissa Rose is coming back. Yep. So it was crazy. What's crazy is she called and said, hey, I saw you guys are doing another one. Mind if I come back again?
She had a good time.
I just want to come and hang out. And it hasn't been announced yet, and it probably won't be announced unless we figure out. I'm working on the layout right now. If we can figure out somewhere to put him, there's another guy that's coming. He's a friend of Felissa's. He's coming no matter what. He may not be set up at a table, but he's going to be coming to hang out and everything with the show. So that's going to be a nice little surprise for everybody.
I want a Frankenhooker costume contest.
Dude, that's a great idea, man.
To happen, and Patty can judge.
I might have to get with Tony about that.
As soon as I heard Patty Mullen, like, dude, you need a Frankenhooker costume contest. Dudes, chicks, beards, shaved. I don't give a shit. I want purple skin and short skirts.
I totally agree. That would be so cool. I was like, dude, everybody's practicing their
doing your little face. Nobody does it right.
Their lip thing.
Yeah, that little yeah.
So everybody get ready, January 16th. Try to refrain from not wearing masks up until then. We don't want to get things shut down again before we actually have this event. This is, honestly, I was talking to somebody the other day, in 2021, when it comes to conventions and stuff like that, this is the new environment we're going to have to do shows in. Small, one-day shows, not huge. There was a show that happened last weekend in Dallas, in the same hotel where Texas Frightmare Weekend is. They tried to do something similar to what we did with the Pop-Up Market. It was an anime thing. This was an anime show. Loy's thing is this weekend, I think.
Is it this coming?
Yeah. This was an anime show. They were only supposed to have 250 to 300 people. You know the area I'm talking about, the basement of the hotel. Over 900 people showed up. And it made the news, and people started freaking out that they had so many people in one place. Come to find out, one of the guests actually had COVID, showed up. It has been a nightmare for the organizers of this particular event. We have to do better not to do shit like that, because it's going to spoil everything for everybody else. Yeah. So
I wonder how that's going to affect. Like, if that will have an effect on Frightmare 2021 for May.
I mean, they're doing the vaccine out, and without getting into weird science and conspiracies and all that. Even if they started giving it to everybody right now, it's going to take months.
Oh yeah,
even if they were if they were like, it's mandatory, line up, it would take months, and then it takes weeks and weeks and weeks for your body to be affected positively, right? Like to build up the immunity and actually have the vaccine affect. I just read a thing, like, they're really concerned because all these Russians, they're doing a vaccination program in Russia, and
they'll get everyone vaccinated by the weekend.
They're getting everybody vaccinated, but now everybody's vaccinated, and then they turned around and they were like, I forgot to tell you, you can't drink alcohol for like 3 weeks.
They just destroyed the entire country.
Yeah, well, Russia is pretty serious about their drinking.
Dude, you ever looked up the statistics? They're like number one in the world for alcohol-related death. It is no joke. Like, those stereotypes came from somewhere.
Right.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah. Dude, it's a national pastime. It's like, look, we either eat our neighbors during a civil war or we drink vodka.
Yeah.
That's
and now you can't.
Now they can't. Good luck, neighbors. I mean, it's Purge weekend, or Purge 3 weeks over at the former Soviet Socialist Republic.
Yeah, so we're moving forward with Pop-Up Market Part 2. Looking for a great event. So,
Yes. Cannot wait. Awesome. Let's take a break. We will be right back.
Hello?
On a June night in 1980, Friday the 13th, 12 of her friends were murdered. Why should Friday the 13th, 1981 be any different? Friday the 13th, Part 2. The body count continues. 14.
All doomed. You're all doomed.
15. God. 16. Help! 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23.
Sandra? Jeff?
The day you count on for terror is not over. Friday the 13th, Part 2.
All right. Let's talk about some trauma.
We're going to talk about some Troma. Troma Entertainment. Troma, it's 46 years they've been producing films. And what's crazy is all independent films. Lloyd Kaufman, what he's done with Troma Entertainment is pretty impressive. They put out over 1,000 movies in the past 46 years. As far as whether that be producing it, distributing it, buying the rights to them, there's a ton of movies that fall into the catalog of Troma Entertainment. It started in 1974 by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz. But Lloyd Kaufman is definitely the face of Tromaville and Troma Entertainment. He makes appearances in most of his movies. What I love about Lloyd Kaufman is he appreciates independent film so much. He gives a lot of people their first breaks. He gives a lot of people the chance to put their visions together. These movies aren't movies you're going to see in the theater. They're film festival, direct to DVD shit. But the dude loves what he does, man.
Right.
And he's been doing it so long and has some movies that have just turned out to be absolute classics when it comes to horror fans. Because horror fans love independent film. Independent film is great for horror movies because, as we've talked on the show so many times, for decades, major studios would just steering clear of horror movies. They didn't want to be involved with it. The only venue you had for good horror movie was independent films.
Yeah, fans carried the market. That's one of the reasons I love the horror community so much, because horror should have died long ago. The fans literally, like Atlas, put it on their shoulders like, no, we want more, and we're going to make it happen by hook or by crook.
Well, and the thing is, it wasn't, I don't think it was necessarily the studios, because I was having this conversation yesterday, actually. Somebody was like, well, what's the difference between a horror and a thriller or a suspense? And I was like, that's marketing.
Right.
Because you used to have, your studio films, like Universal Horror, they put out horror movies for the purpose of, it's a scary movie, come watch it.
Right.
The shared universe with the Universal horror movies and stuff. But then as you moved into the 50s and all that, the aliens and the sci-fi, and they kind of moved. I'm going to say what killed horror really was the early 90s. Was the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Because you had a really thriving horror. I mean, even major networks. I mean, we're talking like things like The Fly, Christine with John Carpenter, The Thing, major studios making Aliens and Terminators and stuff like that, right? And when I use those in plural, they're making multiple large movies with directors like James Cameron and stuff, right? Mainstream horror, sci-fi, action, thriller, whatever. But then somewhere in the 90s, everybody got their panties in a wad over the boobs and the blood and stuff like that, and they started redefining horror movies and calling them thrillers. You know, it's not really a horror movie; it's more like Silence of the Lambs. You know, It's it's a suspense. It's a thriller. It's not really horror because they didn't want people to freak out and not go to a horror movie.
Right. They wanted.
But it's still. I mean,
thriller sounded more like a horror movie.
You take Hannibal Lecter and you put him up against India. I mean, he stands with the greats.
Beautiful.
You know.
Beautiful.
So
and then you had the invasion of the PG and PG-13 horror movies.
That's what I'm talking
about. Right before the true definition of R, before like the MPA really started hammering down.
But you're not going to make a. I mean, you can if you can get like what's Jon Favreau Swingers. You can make a good comedy independent film, but even those cost a lot, and you have to have quite a bit. You know, like with a horror, you can make it really short and sweet, and one and done.
Right.
Good, evil, well defined, bad guys, killers, whatever. And so it's a lot easier to kind of make the scripts, and it's a lot easier to film them, and then people will buy them even if they suck. Right. So the horror movies are very highly profitable. Yeah. You can make them for near nothing.
Yeah, shoestring budgets.
And people will buy them.
People made them off of
so that was, I mean, you think like, oh, well, the studios wouldn't touch them. I bet he's just like, dude, there's a market, and we're just going to grab it.
The guy's just got an absolute love for cinema. I mean, what his wife's like the former New York film commissioner, even refers to as like the commish. And you could tell the man just has a raging hard-on for cinema.
With the way he gets involved with every movie. And
he wants to touch it. He wants to be in it.
Tom Martino's Fist It is one of the movies that Lloyd Kaufman was involved in to help him promote. He makes an appearance on the DVD talking about Fist It. So, he loves film. He loves filmmaking. You can just see it. You can tell. And people hate or love Troma. You know, a lot of people... I like shitty, bad movies that are fun. That's just the way I've always been from when I was a kid. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy Troma movies. There's some people that, you know, they just don't see the artistic side of a stupid independent film.
It can be difficult. You have to learn to turn your brain off. Like, stop looking for plot holes. Yeah. Don't expect, Oscar award-winning cinematography. The acting is going to be bad.
Yeah.
You got to learn to just enjoy the cheeseburger. Not everything's filet mignon.
Take it for what it is.
Have fun with it.
Right.
But, okay, so his... films typically contain overt sexuality, nudity, and intentionally sadistic, gory, and blatant graphic violence, and always done practical effects. Acting has always, in my opinion, been on purpose kind of shitty. Just because they're fun movies, and that's all they're supposed to be. But it's got to the point where Troma film has become synonymous with these characteristics. When people think Troma, this is what they think. I mean, you watch some of the movies like... Romeo and Juliet. Have you ever seen Romeo and Juliet? Yeah. The movie just makes fun of itself. You know, they're at a costume party, and somebody walks in dressed up like Toxic Avenger. Somebody walks in dressed up like Kabuki Man. And people have so much fun with those movies.
I like the guy masturbating to the computer where it's just a chick on the other side going, I love you, I'll marry you. And he's like, thank you. Oh, yeah.
And if you look at Troma movies, you can see influences of Troma movies and other independent films. You know, when you think about the people that kind of started at Troma or Lloyd Kaufman gave them their break, there's some pretty big fucking names, dude. Probably the biggest one would be James Gunn. Mm-hmm. When you think about what James Gunn has achieved over the past decade, he started off at Troma. Romeo and Juliet was his baby at Troma Entertainment. And I like that. The movie also has Debbie Rochon, who is, I love Debbie Rochon. Beautiful woman. She's definitely a screen queen, but she's only done independent films. Most of her work has been with Troma. And she's an author. She's a great person. I can't wait to get her at a con eventually.
Right.
But yeah, just James Gunn started at Troma. That's where he got his stupid sense of humor to come up with some of the movies that he comes up with.
Dude, a lot of people. Last night I was just randomly looking
through my
facts.
List, dude.
And
it's crazy,
man. I
man.
realized like how many movies were associated with it. I can name a bunch. But I'm thinking, well, there's got to be more than that. And you look at that list, going, there's no way I could have watched all of these. There's so many, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies. So I started looking up like famous alumni for. You say Troma, I still say Troma.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since USA Up All Night, Gilbert Gottfried would talk about Troma movies, and dude, there's some absolute insane people I never knew worked in a movie that was either produced by Troma or propelled forward by Troma. Like Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, yeah,
was in a Troma movie.
One of the craziest funny because it's like, and not with Troma, but like with horror movies. So it's like with Chainsaw Massacre when you've got like Jennifer Aniston and different stuff like that.
So
It's like
many.
It's like Matthew McConaughey, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want that movie released because it sucked." It's like, well, dude, you were real happy to get that job when you got it.
Chris Helmsworth did that with Cabin in the Woods. Like tried to. That's why it was it was in production hell, just halted for so long. So like, I don't want this to be what everyone knows me for.
Well,
dude, it was awesome though.
It's a beautiful movie.
So much because a lot of these '80s movies that we watch, they have people in those movies that got their start that you would never fucking imagine. And I pointed out to my son the other day because he started this stunt training this past weekend, which is awesome. My son wants to be an actor, and I've kind of gotten him involved with the Houston area independent film scene. And I'm like, dude, you never know where that can take you. Look at Attack of the Killer Tomatoes Part 2. George Clooney is in that movie.
He did a couple. He did like Return to Horror High.
Mm-hmm.
He did a couple horror movies.
You can do stuff like that to learn the basics of film.
Sure.
You can hone your craft with this stuff before you move on to bigger.
Well,
things.
that's why so many appear in horror because they could quite literally care less if you've done a movie before.
Right.
Oh, you want to be in here? You can move around. You breathe.
Right.
Like the qualifications were the same as people greeter at Walmart. Do you exist?
Well, and that's one of those things that I was reading when we were doing prep for like the Friday the 13th, where
Kevin Bacon.
Well, there's Kevin Bacon, but he was actually he wasn't completely unknown. He was their draw,
right?
Like he was their star power. But Friday the 13th did well enough that they made a second one, and it got to the point where reviews didn't matter, nothing matters. If opening night did well,
they could make another movie.
They would call somebody and say, "Start working on part 3."
Right.
And same thing with a lot of the different franchises,
right?
But then you look at like the Fridays franchise, so then you have Corey Feldman coming up out of there, Kevin Bacon coming out of there, and different like Gremlins horror movie,
Dude.
Corey Feldman coming out of there,
So many horror just lends to so many different markets, and it's all about love. I love movies. I want to be in a movie. I don't care what it is. Hey, there's a slasher they're filming down the road. I want it. Let me have that.
And we had talked about, and we're talking about with the Purgatory guys, because you want to be in a movie. What if you could just live the movie without the camera? So we talked about with the concept of with the escape rooms, right?
Right.
And they actually started doing it, but we wanted to do a horror camp out to where you go out there and you sign up, and then you get your thing that tells you that you're a victim or you're a survivor, right?
Right.
And so then, you have your lines, and so nobody knows who's who. So, at some point, you have to go get beer, and instead of going and get beer, you go and get into makeup. And then somebody walks up the trail and finds you like this.
Right.
And it just, and then you have to hide and escape and try to survive the night without getting caught by the bad guys.
That sounds fun.
They built that into their haunt.
They do a hide and seek. You've got a 30 or 45 second head start, and then if they find you before the time runs out,
I've seen something about that.
That's straight out of a movie. That's awesome, and they're scary, and you're in a scary environment, so you get to live inside the movie for a minute. It's pretty neat.
I want to be that victim that goes to take a leak and walks 25 miles into the woods
to get away from everybody
before I take a piss.
Nobody can hear me scream.
Yeah. Goes on this long ass nature hike. I walks into New Jersey from where he's at just to take a leak.
But yeah, that's why independent horror. I'm pretty sure. I mean, whether he loves cinema, but I'm sure he looked at this and was like, "Here's this whole level that we can make a."
Oh, in the 80s was that time.
Yeah. We can make money on
the early
the golden age
this
of
entire
horror,
level
of
and you look at certain Full Moon and other independent studios that even De Laurentiis was doing a lot of horror stuff in the 70s and 80s and stuff. So horror is where where this lands. And
Right.
Troma is that perfect like insulation layer between porn and mainstream.
And they rode the wave. Yeah, they rode the wave of the video store. Like
Yeah,
at
so
its-
I
at
was
its
just about to
apex.
say that,
Right.
that's what made them huge, was just that the video stores, direct-to-video, independent movies, and just word of mouth.
That's where I got it.
Yeah.
You know, I used to, when I was a kid, my dad got me into horror movies. It's funny because he can't stand them. I guess he thought it was going to scare the shit out of me. And I was like, yeah, let's do more of that. I used to gauge what I was going to rent by box art,
Yeah,
which is not always the way to do it.
We talk about that all the time.
There's some really great box art with some really terrible movies. But you look and the Troma stuff was always just, wow, what the fuck is this?
that cover for Return to Horror High.
Yeah.
With the skeleton
Yeah.
cheerleaders.
Yeah, why
Like,
not?
Hey.
Why not? Like, dude, and then sometimes you get gold, and then sometimes you get Deathstalker. Like, that guy, this was none of this. This was none of this in this movie. This is horse shit. Box art looked fucking amazing. I can't stand this movie.
And of course, their biggest film, 1985's Toxic Avenger. Movie was huge.
I bet I watched that on USA Up All Night at least 50 times.
Oh yeah, over and over, and I
That's one of those.
I still watch it every once in a while.
I think that's one of those movies that I've probably never seen from credits to credits because of USA. You come in and you see this part.
Yeah, you get the snippets.
Yeah.
Dude, you never realize, because I didn't watch it on video until I was an adult. I'd probably watched it, 20, 30 times as a kid. Like Revenge of the Nerds. It was on USA Up All Night. It was on USA all the time. It wasn't until an adult I watched the video, like a VHS, and you realize, fuck, I missed like most of the movie. Oh my god, they cut so much. Like all of a sudden, Revenge of the Nerds, there's rape in this movie. Like a lot of it. Not even a little bit of rape. There's a lot of drug use. Same with Toxic Avenger.
It's also called Revenge. Like,
right, but when you watch it on TV and you're like, oh, this is a good boppity
bunch of
fun.
nerds,
You
they're
realize
cute.
all this shit was happening. Oh my god, this movie's fucked up.
Sexually assaulted people, revenge porn, just all
Several
kinds of
times.
shit.
Yeah, I set up the camera to watch the girls in the
Dude, so much. They're showing the pictures of the chicken, the pie tin. It's literally just whipped cream over this chick's
It's a
naked
revenge
picture.
porn, yeah.
Like, best pie I've ever had in my life.
But yeah, so once Troma had that hit with the Toxic Avenger, everything blew up from there with Toxie. Ended up with 3 sequels, a cartoon series, comic book, which the comic book, because of the talks of the remake, the first appearance of Toxic Avenger in comic books is like selling for over $30 right now. Last time I checked.
What's funny is it's a comic book market dictating inaccuracy, all because of that fucking app.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong. It's not the Toxic Avenger #1. It's the preview preview issue that came out a month before has the comic in it and Toxie on the cover. I know, because I got that one signed by Blair Witch. I'm never going to sell it. That's sits in my PC forever. But yeah, dude, and I didn't know that Lloyd was a part of the Toxic Crusader.
Yeah,
I figured it was somebody bought some rights and just let him do it, and I read he was involved with it. It's like he was literally he loves these creations so much.
Right. And the crazy thing is, following the success of Toxic Avenger, the sequels actually ended up being put in theaters.
Right.
Where
Citizen Toxie.
Where they absolutely bombed, unfortunately. And I think Kaufman kind of learned there, let me stick with the formula that works. Let me stick with independent, go to videos, keep the cult following. And, everything went great after that. And the follow-up to Toxic Avenger success was Class of Nukem High, which is another one that...
Right.
I love that movie. Just goofy as hell, practical effects, just a fun movie.
Ham-handed, dude. You gotta have that. You gotta watch that movie eating mashed potatoes. It is all ham, 1,000%.
But what's funny is because of the success of Toxic Avenger and the lack of success for the box office movies he was putting out, Class of Nukem High was one of the top-selling VHS releases of all time for Troma. People just jumped all over that.
VHS, dude. It kept beyond Troma. It's what kept horror going. I mean, every so often you'd get a Child's Play, you'd get a Hellraiser 2 or something to pop up in your theater, and you were more than happy to go and watch it on a big screen.
Right.
But horror was allowed to subside and survive by the fans, and the fans went to video stores. They were all tape heads.
Well, we talk all the time. One of the I've got my Planet VHS
Dude, I've got a collection.
T-shirt on right now, which Jason Dyer. I don't know if you remember this Facebook group, but it is just incredible for horror VHS collectors. You can avoid eBay. People are serious about the prices. Awesome trades.
I need to check them out.
It's a great group to belong to. There's a few horror VHS groups that I'm in. This is by far the best one.
I need to get a Frankenhooker VHS.
I know. I've been looking for that. I've been looking for that, and I've been looking for. I want to get an Ice Cream Man VHS so I can have Clint Howard signed for the show in June.
Oh, Clint Howard! Oh my god!
I love him. Dude.
Just did every movie. He's just that guy. He's that guy. Hey, look! Oh, it's that guy. He's fucking everything. You can get him to sign something weird like The Wraith or something like that. You know, just some movie he's completely forgot. Like, oh man, I wish I'd never done that damn movie.
But that's one thing I want to get. The next time I get a chance to see Robert Englund, I have the laser disc for 976 Evil. And I want him to sign that.
Dude, why not?
I want him to sign that, even though he, it's one of those movies he doesn't really claim too much because of what it did. I want him to sign that movie.
I said the next time I meet him, I'm going to get him to sign a copy of The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
So I want to get a good either Laserdisc or VHS copy of. I mean, I realize it's multiple tapes, but of V.
Yeah,
V was the first place I saw it, and he was a good guy.
Right.
I was
those glasses, those blue blockers.
I was horrified to find out that he was a bad guy in Elm Street. Like, whoa, no, not him. Not that guy.
Not that guy. And now that's all he is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was a little kid, so it wasn't like it was, like. But we watched V, and like, oh, he's the good guy. He's the good alien. That, tries to help everybody, and then he turns into Freddy, and it's like, oh.
What happened here?
Again,
and ever since then,
we're talking about, like, I come up on Scooby-Doo, and I thought that shit was real. You know, like, I was 4 years old when V and Friday and Elm Street and all those were coming out. All right, what? I didn't understand the concept of acting. Like, he just went from this to this. This guy just became a monster to me. Like, I'm 4 years old, like, wide-eyed and stuff. It was until I was older, and I was like, good for him. Like, he grabbed onto a franchise and got himself a job. Like, his mom's proud,
His mom. He's like, my son's an actor. I don't know why his mother sounds like that, but she does.
Might as well.
Okay, but yeah, so Troma, tons of movies to check out. They have a huge catalog. You can look up and see what their best movies
if you've ever been a fan, because you mentioned some people and you mentioned a couple, but I wrote out a list.
Well, that's what I was getting to that. I was about to hit that list, dude. One of the craziest ones that I saw was this man made his acting debut in 1971 in a Troma film, and it just amazes me that Oliver Stone.
Yep.
I
saw that name and you're like, shut up, Oliver, you bastard.
Michael J. White, Toxic Avenger 2. I remember when I saw him in there, the future Spawn himself. He got his start there.
Great martial arts actor.
Kevin Costner in 1986, as we mentioned before. Vanna White had an appearance in 1981 in a damn Troma movie called Graduation Day, which is just insane. Awesome. Marissa Tomei had a big part in the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, she's a background person.
Tiffany Shepard, of course, who she was in another one in Romeo and Juliet. Petra had a role in The Chosen One.
No. No. These are those kind of names that you look at figures.
Yeah.
I see that.
Billy Bob Thornton, which I could definitely see him also being involved with some Troma stuff. Trey Parker and Matt Stone in 1999, Cannibal the Musical, which ended up being Lloyd Kaufman got involved with. It's insane the people that have been involved with Troma. If you got some more, go ahead and throw some out.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yes.
D'Onofrio? Sorry, his name's
D'Onofrio.
It's hard. I always stumble.
Amazing actor. Absolutely amazing actor.
He's the Kingpin. I mean, God, he's been in everything.
Full Metal Jacket, The Cell, Chained. Great actor.
So awesome. But yeah, he's got to start there. Samuel L. Jackson got to start there.
He did a movie,
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I mean, James Gunn, you think about it, to have been, first of all, to you ever get the opportunity to even have a conversation about helming a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Then to get fired from Disney, like full on, like complete fall from grace, just, and then to get picked right back up because nobody else can do it right. If not him, like if not him, then who? Like,
well, what's crazy is you watch some of his movies.
He's like, fine, I'll go to DC and make Suicide Squad. And they're like,
look at movies like Slither, and Slither, a lot of it is basically Troma with a big budget. Mm-hmm. It's a great movie. It's fun. It's goofy. It doesn't take itself seriously all the time.
Yeah, it's Night of the Creeps meets Society.
Yeah. So, dude, you brought up Society. What's funny is Society was totally not on my radar until a year ago. And I've talked about a program, and I've been trying to get as many people as possible to, because I can't believe that it slipped my radar and a lot of other people. But what I love to tell people is the first hour and 5 minutes does not prepare you for the last
for the melding.
For the last 25 minutes.
You can watch that movie; it's pretty much garbage. And then the melding starts. You're like, now we can watch the movie.
This is getting fun. I mean, the movie is just it's. Yeah. I want to get that VHS too. But look, but that one's not cheap. That one is expensive. That one's going for a lot right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look at Brightburn. Brightburn is. I've been wanting to see that movie for the longest time, but I didn't know what it would look like. And James Gunn went ahead and threw that one out to us. You know, Superman is a horror character. It's insane.
Right. That Batman justification all day long. Right. The reason we need to prepare for that kind of thing is because of Brightburn style characters, yeah.
But you can see with his work, you know, you can see Troma in that. You can see where he grew up, where he was raised, where he, you know, he cut his chops and everything, and it's...
Well, all the sideways jokes in Guardians, like, you know, the rest of the Marvel universe is pretty straightforward, but, you know, you've got Rocket that's like, hey, I need that dude's fake leg for no reason other than it makes him laugh. You know, it's like that just that little sinister personality that's, it's not necessary, but it just adds layers to the characters that make them, you know, silly and kind of mean, and, you know, they're real people. They're not just caricatures, you know. Right.
It gives them a reason. It makes them something more than that two-dimensional characters. Exactly. Now it has depth.
And unfortunately, you know, up until about 3 months ago, for like years,
the world went and got itself offended.
No. For like years, Troma Entertainment was free on Amazon Prime. Every single one of their
YouTube too.
It's on YouTube too, but I think they shut his channel down.
They did this year.
They shut the channel down.
Because when you're at home during a pandemic and want to watch some schlocky horror movies, there's nothing like a bunch of Karens that are going to complain about community standards.
Time to pay for your decisions.
Dude.
So you may have missed catching Troma, but if you get a chance, check out some of these movies too. They're awesome.
Dude, Troma now, they have their own streaming service.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, because like YouTube does have their defined community standards, but if you've got a movie studio that's pushing stuff through and they've got ratings or they've got, you know, whatever... It's like, I get it, but I just have to wonder how many, like, in this day and age, you might get some old man or woman who's trying to, like, Google a spa day or something and accidentally look up facial and, like, get something unexpected. But how can you go to the Troma YouTube channel, right, and be upset?
And expect highbrow.
And you're going to sit there and watch a movie and then be like, oh, time to complain.
Right.
Like, I don't get that. Like,
right.
You knew what you were getting when you came in here.
Right. I think it's one of those things that we're looking up something else, you know, like Mother's Day or graduation, and this comes on like, oh, this looks cute. I'll watch this, and then drama happens.
Mother's Day is a great movie. I actually like that one a lot, dude. I got that VHS.
Then one have Rebecca De Mornay.
Yeah, that movie is just a trip, dude. That's a good one if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so love them or hate them, Troma, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be having their 50th anniversary in 4 years. Think about that, dude. It's pretty amazing.
You didn't talk about how they had like the dance contest across the street from the Sundance Film Festival.
right. Didn't Eli Roth start with them too? And the guy did Hatchet.
He did.
They did Terra Firma.
Terra Firma, with Tiffany Shepis and Debbie Rochon. Damn, I can't remember his name right now.
I can't think of it either.
And I love the Hatchet movie.
Oh, Hatchet's great. It's another one you can see with all the love of practical effects. Yeah. You can tell where they started.
Well, Kane Hodder wasn't going to let it be any other way, dude. You know.
Right. They're all around fun. Just the random. Hey, we're going to throw in this belt sander, and we're going to sand this guy's face off. We're going to do one in every movie.
The kills are nuts, man. Mm-hmm. Great slasher films. I hate that I missed out on the damn pre-order for the action figure, but it is what it is. It's been a rough year. I've missed out on a lot of stuff. So.
Dude, doesn't that come out February or March or something. Dude, did they already do the pre-order?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting in on that one. That's now $90 to $100.
I did get in on the Puppet Master pre-order for the figures that are coming, the 2-packs that are coming out. Yeah,
I was thinking about that because I've already got all the movies, probably a couple of copies of them all, but that Friday the 13th box,
I bought it,
and they looked awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat there with my finger on the trigger. Like,
I was about to buy it too.
I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it from Scream Factory with all the posters and stuff. Dude, I got it.
I almost got it too, but then I was like, I need to get a new job.
I didn't own any of them on Blu-ray yet, so I'd been holding off. So I'd been looking at the tin that was put out a few years before, and that was going for like hundreds of dollars. And then at one point, I was like, I got this. I can do this. I'm gonna wait. The lawsuits are going. Like, one day it's gonna end, and I'm gonna get this in a Blu-ray. And then Scream Factory's like, here it is, sold.
And it was a good price. Those pre-orders were a good price for what you were getting, dude.
Yeah, it's like $110, 16 discs. You end up paying like $8 a disc or something like that.
Plus
like,
the artwork and everything else.
And I love all but one, and even that one I can stomach.
Well, cool. Well, Boom. I met Boom probably 5 years ago. It was one of those things where you're friends on Facebook with people that you know enjoy the same things as you, but you've never met them. Mm-hmm. And one day, dude posted, I need a chainsaw. Anybody have a chainsaw? So I wrote to him and said, dude, meet me at Academy in Katy and get your chainsaw.
Let's meet at a parking lot late at night or something.
Next thing you know, we start talking horror, and I just fall in love with the dude. And what's crazy is every time I see him, we can bring up a movie, whether it be Return of the Living Dead. We've had discussions about Event Horizon. We've had discussions about Clive Barker. And every time it's one of those things where you meet somebody and you have that common connection with a love of horror.
That's how it all works.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for coming out.
Oh, I appreciate it.
It's been a blast. And, for anybody out there, we are going to be booking guests for the new year, probably once or twice a month now, to whether it's in person or online. Because Scott and I have been doing this for like 4 years now, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And then it gets to a point, not that it's not fresh, but sometimes we're like, well, we've talked about that. Let's bring in some other perspective. Let's hear what other people have to think. Like, what's your thoughts on executions and torture? And, so we talked about it, but we can bring it back up and just have a different voice. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, we've got competitions going on right now. I don't have any idea, since this is be out in like a week or two. I don't know where we're at as far as people, but every 50 people that join the Scarydad's Haunted Forum on Facebook, we're giving away something awesome.
Yeah.
So past gifts have included books I wrote, this kick-ass little skeleton ornament that I got from Evil Jay's Creepy Closet. I've got a whole closet full of crap. I've got a bunch of boxes. Got a storage unit full of stuff that's ready to go at a moment's notice. So, yes, I'm buying your votes. So come in, join up. It's a fun forum, though. We don't spam you. Don't want to fill you full of crap. It's a good time. So hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. You won't find me much on Twitter, but you can certainly follow me there because I have a page. But
I mean, if you've got internet, you might as well. I don't do much. There it is.
I'll go wade through that cesspool every month and clean out some notifications. But it's there, so go hit it up. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with a new episode. Keep it scary.
Later.
See you.